So, since the degree of change in the world is only increasing in frequency and complexity, I believe that learning how to deal with change is crucial at this time. What do you think? And of course, once we are able to manage change well, that contributes largely to our overall success. So this is why we're here today, to talk about how to manage personal change in the face of everything that is going on in the world. So this is Life Inspired Academy, and we're a subsidiary of Stance Consulting Limited. That's the company that is sponsoring this session so that we can have it free, even at this time. So we run corporate workplace and strategy at Stance Consulting. And then at Life Inspired Academy, we attend to individuals through trainings like this on personal effectiveness and life skills. Okay, so for the people who don't know me, I know many people in this room, but just in case there's anyone in the house who is new to Life Inspired Academy, my name is Atinuke Oyewumi, and I am the Chief Learning Officer at Stance Consulting and also at Life Inspired Academy. And this is just my short profile here. So let's do our climate setting so that we can maximize time. We have two main objectives for this session. Closely at change and see what it is. What is change really? We want to really go into that. And again, we want to explore tools for managing change effectively. As I said before, this is crucial for us at this time. I know that it's not news anymore that we are going through really tough situations. And some people are so confused, they don't even know what to do again. I read of the lady who abandoned her 3 kids at the police station somewhere in the country. And then after doing that, she ran into a moving car somewhere around, the same police station. So the truth is, you would see that it is not even the change itself that is the problem, but how we're able to manage ourselves around it. Can we wrap our minds around what's going on? Okay? Most especially since we know control. This is not a motivational talk, talking about what you should expect in this session. A motivational talk will usually just prep up your spirit and give you some kind of upliftment, but it doesn't really last, okay? As much as it is good, you also need to have some principles, some kind of knowledge and understanding that can help you navigate your way around the complexity. So that's what this session is going to deliver to you. But you can be sure that your spirit will be uplifted, because at Life Inspired Academy, that's what we do. Okay? And let me also say that if you apply what you learn, you will notice that you will always find a place above every challenge that comes your way. From my experience training people over the years, I've come to discover that some people have something that we call, in the learning world, we call it learning disability. And learning disability simply means that a person cannot take new things into their mind. Okay, so they keep operating by what's already there. And as we know, in a world that demands that we change our perspective almost daily, that will really not help. So you want to open up your mind and entertain new thoughts, even if you're not going to accept them at the end of the day. Just open up your mind to possibilities. And of course, again, I will encourage that you stay away from anything that will distract you. This is serious business, all right? And also, if you want to get the best value for the time you're investing here, I'll encourage that you pay attention as much as possible. All right, are we set? If you're ready, please type in the chat box, I am ready, and put some fire behind it so that I can see that really you're ready for today. Are you ready? I want a feedback from you. As I say again, that you're warmly welcome to this session for today. As they say in our local parlance, last will be okay, right? Who believes that there's a lot of change going on, but somehow we believe that last, everything will be fine. So please, let's relax and let's have some fun as we learn together this afternoon. Yes, I love the fire that I'm seeing in the chat box. Okay, so let's dive in straight. And let's start to talk about how to understand change. So let me start by saying that inadequate understanding is a major challenge. And that if people had more understanding, they would perform better no matter what the situation is. So when something is happening, you first of all want to ask yourself, how well do I understand what's going on? In talking about change, one of the realities of life that we all need to accept is that things will not always go our way. I mean, there will be things that we desire, and you'll be reaching out for those things. Sometimes you get them, you're enjoying them, and they get taken away from you. Unfortunately, they may never come back, okay, no matter how hard you try. When I was talking about this in a class, somebody said he was thinking of subsidy. I don't know if it's coming back or if it's gone for good, right? But also, what it means is that you have to adjust to living without that thing, most especially once you see that it's not going to come back. Some life situations are really tough. Sometimes you lose a loved one and it just dawns on you, hey, this person is never going to come back. That's change. How are you going to manage yourself around that? Also, on the other hand, there will be things that we desire to have, but we really may never get. That's hard reality, no matter how hard you try. Okay, so in all of this, it isn't what happened or did not happen that is usually the problem. Rather, it's our level of understanding that would make the difference in how we manage the change. As I said before, no matter how much something means to you, once that thing goes and is not coming back, you have to manage yourself around it. Also, another reality is that good things do not automatically last forever. Not even your relevance, right? You can be relevant today and people are clapping for you. And 2 years down the line, you suddenly find out that nobody wants to take advice from you. Okay, what happened? What changed? This is what the strategic inflection point is telling us. Anyone who's a student of Life Inspired Academy, I'm sure will be able to teach the strategic inflection point because we have talked about it for so long. The only difference is at the time that we were talking about strategic inflection point, life wasn't this hard and probably sounded like theory to us, but now some of the reality would have dawned on us. What is this graph trying to show us? It's saying that when you start out life with a paradigm, a mindset, over time, that mindset will not serve you anymore because things are changing externally. And And according to Jack Welch, the late management guru, American management guru, who said that when the rate of change faster than the rate of change within an organization outside faster than the rate of change within that organization, then there'll be trouble very soon. Hello, everyone. Are we together? Can you still hear me? Can you still see me? I know there's a lot of network challenge today, but
Yes,
are we still together?
I hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So please, if you're not speaking to us, kindly mute your audio so that we can have a very seamless session this afternoon. So I was talking about inflection point, and I said that it's going to get to a point where your old methods will not give you new result, right? And that's what you're seeing here. When the rate of change is so fast, what happens here is that things would either go up or go down depending on what you decide to do. Are we together? If you do not do anything positive when the rate of change is fast, for example, if you're blaming, if you're complaining, and if you're giving excuses, what you notice is that whatever you're involved in would decline. However, if you choose to see possibilities, if you choose to change your mind, if you decide to take responsibility, that's like having a new paradigm. You'd suddenly discover that you're able to catch up on some opportunities that you probably wouldn't have had if things did not change that much. I'm going to share my experience during COVID with you shortly. And it's just going to let you know that sometimes when things are hard, if you're really prepared and you're really seeing possibilities, you can even do better than you would have done if things were not hard. I know nobody likes things hard, right? But also sometimes you don't bring the best out of yourself except there is hardship. Who's thinking along that line with me? Anybody in the house? If yes, please just indicate in the chat box and let me know. So whether we like it or not, change will always happen. And you're either going to respond or you're going to react to change. Responding to change is seeing possibilities. Responding to change is changing your mind itself so that you can meet up with what's going on. And then, of course, responding to change means you're asking yourself, I know things are tough, I know things are hard, but in all of this, what can I do? In all of this, how can I still maximize whatever is available to me, right? But as I said, if you decide to react to change, that means you're going to deny reality. After a while, when you finish denying and you see that that reality is not going anywhere, then you start to blame. And people start to complain and they start to give excuses. But let me let you know that of all the things going on, where you put your energy is what matters most. Where you put your energy is what matters most. So you want to start to track. What do you do on a daily basis? Do you gist with people who complain on a daily basis? If you do that, before long, you're going to find yourself in a place that you don't like, really. But if you're talking and rubbing minds with people who are trying to look for possibilities, no matter how hard things are, before long, you suddenly see that you're having some kind of influence on that change and is not affecting you as negatively as such. All right? So where are you putting your energy this time? Are you avoiding energy drainers? Anybody who brings complaints to your desk every morning, you have to start avoiding them. I'm not saying that you should not talk about reality. I'm only saying that you have to now redefine what that reality is and find your possibility within it. Okay, are you with me? And are you gaining something? All right, let's talk about managing your mind in times of change. People who go through change go through a number of different emotions. And let me ask you now, when you are going through change personally, what kind of emotions do you go through? How do you feel? Can you type in the chat box and let me have a feel? Let me have a feel. How do you feel? Most especially when that change seems like something really out of your control. What are the emotions? What are the emotions that you feel? You know, as they say, knowing yourself is one of the best things that can happen for you. Can you label your emotions? Can you label your feelings? Okay. All right. If I have one, I'll just move. What kind of emotions do you feel when things seem out of control? Okay. So some of the ones that we have here. Okay. Someone said, I feel bad. Another person said, I feel stressed. Chukwemeka feels stressed. Patrick says, I feel discouraged. Okay. Yes. So in emotional intelligence, one of those things that you learn is your ability to identify how you feel, because it's only when you identify how you feel that you can really deal with whatever is going on. So there'll be some measure of uncertainty. Thank you so much for the valuable feedback. People feel uncertain. People feel afraid. Okay? Sometimes the anxiety. And sometimes people want to resist change, right? Nobody just likes to change. Yes, we want the benefits of change, but what we usually don't want are all of those things that we have to do to make those benefits come. Some people feel lost. And then, of course, if it's a positive change, some people feel like they have gained something. Okay? So, but basically, the most important thing here, as I said, is how you manage your mind. Once you can manage your mind, you can manage almost anything. Because it means that you're going to be in control. Always remember that your mind is yours. Nobody has power over your mind like you. And it's your primary zone of control. Really, when you lose your mind, you can't control anything. It's just like anger. When someone loses their mind, when they lose their cool, we say they've lost their mind, okay? And they can't seem to control anything, even what they say, what they do. So this is where the real task is. How will you manage your mind in spite of all of the things that you feel? Someone asked me a question in a class that I was taking recently, that does it get to a point where on your own, you cannot handle things anymore? I mean, like your mind cannot cope anymore. And I said, yes, it can get to that point. And at that point is where you realize that you have to speak out. You have to talk to someone. Okay, because if you don't, you may choose to do something that will be very drastic. Okay, and we're going to talk about tools. So you definitely see how connecting to other people helps in times of change also. Thank you. Also, Oluchi, I can see your feedback here. You say you think about so many things, but the ability to start and focus is what will give you an advantage. Thank you so much. If you're able to maintain your focus, that also would help. All right. So let's make some progress. And there's some questions that you want to reflect on right now. You want to ask yourself, how well do I manage challenging situations? How well do I manage challenging situations? Am I able to put things together? Do I snap? Do I become rude? Some people become rude when the situations are challenging. I know I used to have a driver who, if we traveled, then we used to go to Kaduna by road before the trains were there. And then this guy, once he drove for a while and he got tired, he would just stop obeying traffic light. And then the light goes red and he moves. You say, didn't you see it? You say, please, I saw it. I'm just tired. It just gets overwhelmed, right? So that's a signal. If you're somebody who wants to grow, you want to ask yourself, or you want to confirm to yourself, I don't really do well when things are challenging. How can I do better? Some people lose their relationships when they are facing difficulty because they just shut down and they don't allow anyone, into their lives anymore. Also, another question you want to ask yourself is, how do I manage disappointment? Imagine that you've worked hard to get something. It could be a promotion. It could be a business that you really worked hard to start. And then that thing did not go as you expected. How do you manage such disappointment? Because these are the real issues. And if you're strong enough to find a balance, irrespective of what's going on, you would always come out stronger. As they say, anything that doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. But let's see some kind of reactions that people have to disappointment. See it. So when disappointment happens, some people go from being discouraged. Once you're discouraged and you do nothing about it, see what happens. You sink into depression. If you're depressed and you're not speaking out, you go into despondence. If you get into despondence and you have not looked for help, you start to feel despair, right? If you leave this, eventually it leads to destruction. When people commit suicide, they have reached a point where they just cannot see any hope anymore, right? So you don't leave problems and allow them to expand. You don't leave problems and allow them to expand. The moment you feel discouraged, you must look for a way to encourage yourself. If you can't do it by yourself, get into the circle of some people that would encourage you, okay? And when you're depressed, please don't stay there. Do not take it lightly. And then, of course, you can see that this only goes downwards, except, of course, if you do something about it. All right. As I said, when what you would have preferred is not available, how quickly can you adapt? We're talking about personal change here and how you can manage personal change. Everything about managing change is adaptability. Reworking on your mind, and it's holistic. It's holistic. It comes from the inside out. If you get it right from within, you can navigate the challenges outside. How quickly can you adapt? If you started a business and you were already boasting of how you would make a lot of money, and suddenly the business goes down the drain, can you manage how people would look at you? Can you separate yourself from that failure? Will you see it as failure as an event and not failure as a person? These are the things that will determine if you're going to be able to adapt or not. I know sometimes people lose things and they just take their lives. Why? Because they can't face people. They can't come out again. They suddenly just believe that because they failed at something, they themselves have become failure. And I know that Charles Darwin also told us that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most adaptable to change. So the language of change is adaptability. And as I said, when you're growing, when you're acquiring your academic qualifications, you also want to be checking your pulse to say, am I really getting better as a person? Or am I just acquiring degrees? A person can have so much, education, have so many qualifications, but they themselves may not be able to withstand challenges. Okay? Yes, I said I was going to share my COVID experience with you. I had a very remarkable experience during COVID. And let me just look at this picture. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever been in such a situation that felt like the end of the road? Have you ever experienced that? A situation that felt to you like nothing good can come out of this, or maybe you thought you were even going to die. And then, did you overcome it? If you did you later get to a point where you would remember that thing and laugh at yourself? Now, one of the things that helps us when change happens is that we can refer to the past. If you have ever overcome anything in your past, you should keep that memory so that it can serve you in the future. And then you can remind yourself, if I overcame that, I definitely can overcome this. So as Ellen Keller said, a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. Making the turn, that's where the real work is. And as I said, if you do it more than once, you've mastered the game of change and you can always refer to it. So what happened during COVID? I know that I resumed very early. People were still at home. But because I was almost losing my mind staying at home every day, once the lockdown was a bit opened up, I started to go to the office. And then luckily for me, because I used to create some motivational pieces that I shared online, someone saw something I shared, and then he said, "Oh, Tini, when are you going to train me?" I said, "Oh, anytime you're ready." And then the person said, "You know what? You're not going to train only me. Let me gather some people so you can train all of us together." Was I happy to at least have something doing? But then we needed to run that training digitally. This wasn't a time when we did things digitally. I needed to convert the content of the training into digital visuals and audio. Even though I had some IT background, it was so tough for me to do. I had time pressure, and I sat in my office, I think a day to when the program was going to hold. I was still so far from where I was supposed to be. I tried so many things. I downloaded so many materials, software, and I was just trying to figure things out. It looked to me like an end because I didn't have enough time. I remember I got so frustrated that I sat on the floor in my office and I was just thinking. I prayed, there was nothing I didn't do. But at some point I told myself, I said, Tinike, you can do this. Whatever you're going to do, just once your mind is strong, you will find a way. That was how I encouraged myself. And you know that this day, that's the day before the program, I sat down there, I figured everything out. I found new ways to do what I needed to do beyond what I was even supposed to do before. And by the following morning, I had sent the materials the previous evening. By the following morning, they had gone through the materials. When I was having the Zoom debrief with them, we didn't want to use Zoom entirely because of network issues at the time. When I was having the debrief with them, I remember that they sat in a hall and they projected my picture on this very huge screen. I could see myself. I felt so good. I had never done that in my life. I felt so good. I didn't remember the trouble I went through. And luckily for me, the CEO of that organization walked in when we were having the debrief and listened to me as I talked. She said, wow. She was so impressed and gave me a lot of encouraging words. Of course, a lot of business, followed after that. But what am I trying to share with you? Somebody said everything that was once hard will always become easy. Or everything that is easy now was once hard. Today, I do virtual training. If you call me in the morning and say you have a virtual training by evening, it will not take me anything, right? And now we have a learning management system. We have our materials online. We have gone through a lot. But do you think that we would have been able to overcome if I did not make that turn? What are your thoughts? Do you have similar situations? Someone said, I can relate. So my encouragement to you is, at the time that things feel the hardest, if you're not tempted to give up, you may even be tempted to give up, but if you don't give in, you would always notice that you come out stronger on the other side. And please always make the turn. To make the turn, you would have to accelerate your learning curve, which was what I did. But yes, I was able to make it. And today I'm happy and super proud that that happened. Okay, so let me connect that to the strategic inflection points that I shared with you before. Do you remember the strategic inflection point? Let me try to go back to it, where I said that when the rate of change is high, this is the inflection point. I was coming with an old paradigm. I wasn't using virtual tools for training. And then this change happened. It was COVID at this point. And then when that happened, I needed to change my mind and change my methods. And that was how I was able to grow. Let me let you know also that I made more money during COVID than I had done in the previous years before COVID, because organizations needed virtual learning. In short, one of the agencies, we practically just sat there and resumed work every day, doing several virtual training. So do you feel encouraged? Do you believe that when things are tough, you actually can do something different, see possibilities, change your mind, and take responsibility, which was exactly what I did. All right, so I'm going to move with speed now. I just felt I needed to share that experience with us. And yes, we've talked about making the turn and having things go better. Yes, at this point, can you think of some factors that make change difficult? I'd really love for you to type in something. What are the factors that you think can make change difficult? Are there some factors that you know? I want you to take time. There's something that we call cognitive distortion in psychology. And that's usually what happens when our minds start to go in different directions. Okay, I'll share a few of them with us, and I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible. Yes, I have a feedback. Someone said, not okay, if you don't understand the real issue involved. Absolutely. Absolutely, Tim, thank you so much. If you don't understand what's involved, it's going to make it difficult. Ali says mindset, of course, personal belief. Thank you. Madam E, it's as if you have seen my slides before the session. All right, so let me quickly talk about what I call associated thinking. Have you ever experienced a loss? And then let's say, for example, someone loses their job, and they may be in the environment. They were even so busy when they were working that they would have gone in the morning, come back at night. But then this person doesn't have a job again, and then comes out at maybe 10 a.m. and is walking down the road, and some people are not greeting, and that person is thinking, just because I've lost my job, suddenly they've stopped greeting me, right? So this is what happens when you begin to connect everything that happens to the change that is going on, okay? And that really can affect your ability to withstand the pressure of change. Also, there is the thinking too hard about people's opinion. Some people should do certain things and they know it, but they're so bothered about what would people think, what would people say. I'm sure by now any adult knows that people don't think that hard about us, right? And we should be able to just make the change that we need. Also, fixed mindset. Do I have this in the chat box? Fixed mindset, right? When some people set their minds, I've talked about learning disability. When some people fix their minds, it's like rock. You know, you use dynamite to blow rocks. It's like rock. Nothing moves it, nothing changes it. And we're going to address that shortly. That also becomes a problem. Another thing that I want us to know is what we call binary thinking. Binary thinking is when you look at things from only one perspective and you're not able to expand your horizon. And then, of course, there is what we call all or nothing. This is when you're thinking, I'm either a success or a failure. So when somebody like this feels at something, they don't see any other thing that they have going on for them. They're just fixated on that one thing. Okay. I have a quote here. It will help someone most affected, whose health are being affected or is being affected by change. This quote says, everyone has the ability to increase resilience to stress. It requires hard work and dedication. But over time, you can equip yourself to handle whatever life throws your way without adverse effects on your health. Training your brain to manage stress won't just affect the quality of your life, but perhaps even make it longer. I thought to share that quote. And as I said, you have your health to protect, most especially when the rate of change is fast. Do not allow any kind of thinking that will jeopardize your health. So, what are some of the tools for managing personal change? The first is resilience. Okay. The second is refined personal philosophy. I've talked a bit about this and I'll still do some more. The third is personal growth. I was taking a class on stress management last week. And I remember sharing with the people how I've taught work-life balance and stress management for almost 2 decades. And we used to teach it from different angles. But you know that in the last 2 years, I've changed my mind about how I teach it. Because I see that when people grow, they have capacity. And stress is something that is beyond your capacity. You feel stressed when you encounter something that is beyond your capacity. So when you're someone who takes to lifelong learning, you're learning emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, every other thing that can make you effective, life skills, you would notice that your ability to cope when things are changing will be better than it is for someone who leaves their brain blank and just fill it with technical competence. Maybe they're an engineer and that's the only thing they're learning, or they're an accountant and that's the only thing they know. I hope you're able to connect to this. Also, strategic networking. Someone said just today that what is the net worth of your network? You get that? What is the net worth of your network? Meaning all of the people that you know put together, what's their net worth? Okay, someone may look at that and say, does it mean that everyone I relate to must be rich? But the truth also is that when people are wise, sometimes they're well-to-do. Okay, so sometimes it's not all the time, though. You know, I mean, in terms of how things happen. Sometimes when you look around and you see that the people you're talking to can't even get out of their own situations, you want to step out. You're not abandoning them, but you want to connect up and relate with people who are able to solve their problems so you can learn from them how they do just that. Okay, we've talked about resilience, and resilience simply means that you have the ability to withstand the pressure, whatever that pressure is. It could be the pressure of how people are looking at you. It could be the pressure of staying without something for a while, okay, denying yourself something for a while. But also, one of the things that we hardly talk about when we're talking about resilience is the fact that resilience does not exist in a vacuum. Resilience does not exist in a vacuum. When you see people who are resilient, you need to check they're connected. Sometimes they have a support network. Someone who has good attitude and who gets along with people, get out of trouble sooner than someone who creates problems everywhere they go. Right? So how we live matters also. When the rate of change is fast and you're in trouble and you need help, can you really get help easily? All of these things would matter at the end of the day. I really cannot go into details, a lot of details, the way I would love to because of our time. But I wanted to let you know that to be resilient means that you really live with the principles that would allow you to get help when you need help, right? And I've talked about philosophy. I talked about a fixed mindset. Times of change require that we change. And the first thing you need to change is your mind, your mindset. As I said before, some people can't take in anything new apart from what they have always known. So if you're living at the same level of knowledge, understanding, wisdom, you cannot even survive change, let alone thrive when change occurs. So you must subject your philosophy to some kind of scrutiny and ask yourself, how well has this personal belief served me? Right? If you find things that haven't served you in the past 2 years or 1 year, you want to check and see if you need to change your mind about something. Are we together? Are we gaining something? Have you gained something so far? If you have, please let me know. So there's a concept that we call holding on for dear life. You're holding on to something. It's as if you let go of this thing, that person is going to die. But sometimes we say that you need to let go for dear life. If you don't let go of some personal beliefs, some wrong mindset, you cannot even save your life. That's the truth. So in times of change, we need empowering philosophy for life that accommodates our reality. Last week, I visited a general in the military, and we were talking about parenting. And he was talking to me how he has had to unlearn some of the things that he knew about parenting. Even as a general, he said there's a kind of front I should have, but I know that my reality demands something else. If I keep that front, I'll lose these children. And once you lose children, sometimes you don't get them back. I mean, once you lose your connection. So when he said it, he said, I have had to relearn. And that's where personal growth comes in. That's where letting go of the mindsets that don't serve you. That's where it comes in. And that's how we cope with change. That's how we empower ourselves when things are getting harder. I'm going to have to rush a bit now. Please pardon me. All right, people are gaining something. I talked about binary thinking, and I said binary thinking is when you see things only in one way and you don't want to see any other color. It's just black or white, okay? And when you have this kind of thinking, I was listening to someone a few days ago and was talking about how when our money had value, when Naira had value, they used to smuggle items from Cotonou to Nigeria. Normally, they would go there to bring cars, but at that time, they would buy some materials, these fabrics, and hide in the cars, smuggle them so that they won't pay custom duties. And he said, we had so much money, we used to collect people's girlfriends. Nobody could compete with us. It was boasting. After saying all of that, he then said, Kai, our leaders have finished Nigeria. Please, can you connect that? He could not find his own fault in that kind of thinking. And that's binary thinking. You look at Nigeria and you say, Nigeria's problem is its leadership and that's all. What about the followers? What about every individual? What about the things that we do personally? So that's when you expand your thinking so that when you want to solve that problem, you're solving it from a point of view of better understanding rather than just looking at it from one point of view. All right. I'm afraid because of time, I may have to rush. There is something I wanted to use that I'm not able to use. I hope you forgive me. Okay, so this quote says, as we advance in life, it becomes more and more difficult. But in fighting the difficulties, the inmost strength of the heart is developed. When you go through challenges, that's when you grow. When you're able to withstand the pressure of challenges, that's when you bring the best out of yourself. And that's what personal growth is about. We thrive only when we grow. If there are no challenges, you will not grow. Okay? So we're not happy that things are so hard, but at the same time, we cannot remain at the same level of knowledge and understanding and wisdom that we had before. As I said earlier, growth expands our capacity for success. You want to ask yourself, what have I learned? What new thing have I learned in the last 6 months? Have I attended any class? Today, there is no excuse for not knowing because knowledge is all around us. Okay? When last did you change your mind about something? When was the last time you changed your mind? When was the last time you said, now I see things this way? Only the people who do this can thrive during change. Okay? And you want to develop your competence beyond your technical needs. All right. As we get ready to shut down, I want us to say this. Every time we talk about personal growth, sometimes people don't understand what it is. But I want to use this quote to let us see what it is. And it says, he is a bold surgeon, they say, whose hand does not tremble when he performs an operation upon his own person. And he is often equally bold who does not hesitate to pull off the mysterious veil of self-delusion, which covers from his view the deformities of his own conduct. Connect this to the smuggling example that I gave you. That person could see the fault of the leaders, but he couldn't see his. So if you even told him that you need to work on yourself, work on your own character, he wouldn't even agree with you because he doesn't see himself as the problem. But the people who can thrive when there is change are those people who can sit down and be honest with themselves. Do that honest assessment that lets you see, I think I'm a bit lazy here. I think I have this time that I can use for something productive. I think I've not been as productive as I should have been. Okay? Some people say, oh, life was good when dollar was 215 naira. And one question you want to ask them is, how much did you achieve when dollar was 215 naira? What did you really do? What drastic thing did you do? So if they returned it today to 215, if you're not a serious-minded person, it still will not change anything, or it won't change much, right? So you cannot count on whether the economy is going up or down per se. You can only count on what you have made up to do with your own life, regardless of what is happening. And finally, how do you succeed in hard times? Get along with people. I can preach this for 3 days straight. Get along with people. The more you get along with people, the more opportunities you would get. No matter how hard things are, all you need are opportunities, right? Because you cannot fix the administration. You cannot help them fix things. You can only fix your own economy. As you're praying that things get better, how will you fix your own economy? Okay, the starting point, get along with people. When you do, you get more opportunities. When you get more opportunities, I believe if you use them well, you get more money. When you get more money, guess what? You gain more confidence. You believe in yourself more. And when you're confident, it also still affects how you get along with people. Some people do not get along with others because they feel intimidated, but they don't admit it. right? So they see the network that they should belong, but they are too intimidated to join. And let me say this, there's something we call courageous collaboration. This is what happens when you meet people who are better than you in certain areas, where you say, even I have something that I can offer, and you summon courage to belong to that group. It's a good thing to feel intimidated. It means you're in a group that is better than you. If you're in a group where everyone is clapping for you, there is no opportunity for growth, and there is no challenge to grow. There is no demand placed on you. But if you meet people that you're looking up to, that even when you want to talk, your voice is shaking, that's good for you. Because in 3 months, you're not going to be the same person. Does this make sense to you? Have you gained something? Also, lastly, this is my last, okay? How do you succeed in hard times? You need to master conversion strategies. What are you converting? You must convert your ideas into work. Any idea you have in your mind that you have not turned into work activities will not do anything for you. So you must build work activities around your ideas, okay? Then convert that work into value. When you convert the work into value, that value can attract money. And that's the best way to get money, using value to attract money. That's what's sustainable. When you convert your value into money, you can also convert your time into opportunities. I always say that if someone has a lot of idle time and they have not enough money, they need to work on something. You shouldn't have time on your hand and be broke. So you need to sit down and strategize. What can I do with this time? How can I convert this time into opportunities, into value? If you're also always busy, but you still don't have enough money, that's also another reason for concern. You want to sit down and re-strategize so that your life can work for you. When you put in value and you put in time, you should get money. Yes, the economy is hard. You also must step up your game and rethink about the places you put your time and energy and value. Are they giving you enough, or do you need new avenues? I hope you're going to reflect on this later on. Also, turn your relationships into opportunities. Do not just know people. Talk to people. Tell them how they can help you. Be bold enough to ask for help. Don't ask people for money to the best of your ability. Look for opportunities. An opportunity has in it a seed that can produce a future. When someone calls you and says, take 100,000, you spend that money. But if someone gives you an opportunity to do something that can be reproduced, you make the money and still you have a chance to come back, or they can refer you to a place. I think I've been selfish on this program. I've not allowed you to talk, and I'm sorry, it's because of time. I just needed to get all of these ideas across. So let me ask you, if you've gained something, what have you gained? And do you have a question? I wanted us to do 45 minutes, but I see that now we have overshot time. Do you have questions? If yes, if you do, please type your questions in the chat box. If you have gained something, why not also type in the chat box while I encourage you to finally guard your spirit. Did I say the other one was my last final? My last finally. Okay, so finally, brethren, guard your spirit. Without faith, you cannot see a good picture of the future. One of the things that people do now is another cognitive distortion that we call catastrophizing. When one thing happens, people blow it out of proportion and they just see everything negatively. You don't want to do that. When you do that, you get bitter. And when you get bitter, your joy will be stolen. When the spirit goes down, everything goes down with the spirit, right? Health goes down, finances go down, even your complexion will change when your spirit goes down. So you want to keep your spirit up by not allowing what's going on outside to seep into your spirit. And if you're able to do this, connect with the right people. Do not be a pessimist. Do not particularly be an optimist. Be a possibilist. That's what they called Stephen Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. They said he's not a pessimist, he's not an optimist, it's just someone who sees possibilities. So, do we have questions? All right. Thank you so much, Princess, for that feedback. Strong people alone know how to organize their suffering so as to bear only the most necessary pain. Please, at the end of this session, I'll share the video. I want you to digest this. Do not carry the pain that you're not supposed to bear. You can't withstand it. When you're strong, you'll find out how to take only the necessary pain. Be true to yourself. Okay? How you make yourself feel matters more than what is going on. All right? And as I shut down, finally, this time I mean it. This is my final. Renew yourself. Reinvent yourself. I've seen people start a second career, a third career. Sometimes at 50, at 55, they start doing something new. Okay? And they're like, wow, I didn't even know I could pull it off. You can do a lot. The human spirit is so strong if we allow it. When you renew and you reinvent, you will have a rebirth. Remember the Eagle video? We've always played it at Life Inspired Academy. Rather than give up, you want to renew yourself, reinvent yourself so you can have a rebirth. And do not let the complexity push you to a state of inaction. Don't wait. I'm going to wait. Maybe when dollar is this or that. Yes, I know as a business person, you're watching, but there are some things you can do, even as the economy is. Whatever it is that is possible, just start it. Okay. I always share of how I wanted to change my car in 2015. And dollar was 160 something, it had moved to 190 something. Someone told me, Tinuke, wait for dollar to come down for you to change your car. So you can imagine if I had waited. All right. Okay. This is where I want to stop. And we had 2 objectives. The first was to look at change closely, and I want to believe we did. And the second objective was to explore the tools for managing change, which are the things I shared with you. Be resilient, and I said network effectively, refine your philosophy. What else have you gained? Have you gained something? If yes, please type in the chat box. I just want to see one thing you're taking away. Princess has said something that she's taking away. Any other person? Yes. What one thing? Tough times will never stop coming. Absolutely, team. Absolutely. When you have expanded capacity, you can always match up. Thank you so much for your time and attention. So this is what we do at Stance Consulting. Beatrice says, engage with others that intimidate you. Absolutely. I was in a training last week, I think, and one of my colleagues has invited me to come to the World Trade Center where their office is. I said, oh, wow, I've never been there. Do I feel a bit intimidated? Yes, but I'm going to go. Because they operate, we're in the same kind of business, but they operate at a very higher level, right? So do not run away from people who intimidate you. Life always happens to us, but you need to stay focused. Thank you for giving your feedback. You can reach out to us for your leadership training, management strategy. We do both local and foreign programs. So you have power over your mind, not on outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. We all need strength now. But one thing I said is that where you put your energy matters so much. Okay, I think we're going to have to shut down without any question so that we can keep to time. Of course, we are not keeping to time anymore. We have already gone beyond the time that we budgeted to spend. So I want to say thank you for your time and attention. Our lines are open You can always private chat me if you have questions, either now or later. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
Bye.
welcome. You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Tinuke. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you. Stay strong.
God bless you, ma.
Thank you so much. Quite new here.
Oh, wow. Please let's connect. For the people who are just coming, please connect with us.
Yeah, I so much like your though I just came in, but the few minutes I was here, I was so much happy about what you've just said. It is as if you're talking to me.
Wow.
So it's your training is quite impressive, and I'm happy, very informative. So I would like to, if you have a WhatsApp group, I
Yes.
would like to be in there, please.
Okay.
I have a friend here too. We are colleagues. Missy,
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great.
yes. Yeah, she talks so much very good about you. So I asked for it. So she added me. She just sent the invite to me.
Okay.
So I'm very grateful to be part of you.
Wow. Thank you, madam. Please let's connect. Let's connect.
It's okay.
So that, yes,
Just
I can add you.
yeah. Yeah, if you have a platform, please add me up. I want to follow up. I would like to follow up.
All right, ma'am. Okay, thank you, everyone. If you type in your number in the chat box, I can just add you straight away.
All right, let me just do
I'll
that
send it to
quickly.
me privately. Yes, I'll do that.
And